Hello everybody and good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So we are going over the book by John Maxwell, Talent is Never Enough, and today we're on chapter 3, Initiative, Activities, Your Talent. So it's a very interesting way to put that, but
very wordy.
Very wordy. And before we jump into that, we're going to go ahead and invite some people onto here.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's late morning for some, it's early morning for others, depending on what side of the country you're on. Super early for Hawaii. 6 hours difference. All right, initiative, activities, your talent. So John starts out, he says, if you were to reach your potential, you have to show initiative. Here's why. Initiative is the first step towards anywhere you want to go. So you're going to have to get up and get moving. Benny, what's going on? Dan's here. What's happening? He says, where you finish in life isn't determined by where you start, but by whether you start. And that would be a good one for all the people I've been talking to lately, is like they want a career. They want to get going. They want to get moving. And nothing will tell you more about where the population's at than interviewing 10,000 people. They said if you interview about 1,500 people, you're going to be within 3% of, like if you did statistics, if you've taken statistics class, if you interview 1,500 people, whether it's 1,500, 15,000, 150,000, 1.5 million, you're going to be within 3% percentage-wise of the numbers, as long as you did a diverse group, right? Initiative closes the door to fear. So a lot of people have this problem getting started, period. And usually the problem they have getting started, period, is they build up in their head all these things that have to happen, or all these things that might happen, all these things that probably never will happen. They said 80% of the fear you have of what's going to happen usually never comes to pass, 80%. So that means the majority of the dominating thought that most people have about why it's not going to work will never actually happen at all. But that's what stops people from basically engaging, initiating. If we take this towards MLM, direct sales, network marketing, what you're talking about is what stops people from getting going. Lucy's here. What's happening? What stops people from getting going? What stops people from getting moving? And initiative closes that door. You know, initiative, as soon as you make a step forward, you start actually seeing what's happening rather than thinking about what might happen. Initiative also opens the door to opportunity. So the opportunity side is what's next? What's going to happen now that we're moving? Now you can start adjusting. You start adjusting to, if you're doing phone calls like we are, you start adjusting to the tone, you start adjusting to the speed, you start adjusting to, comfortability. How do you get comfortable with something? How do you get confident with something? You do it over and over and over again. So John says, but anyone who doesn't take initiative is almost guaranteed to fail. I'm willing to bet you that you have a decision that you should be making, a problem that should be solving, a possibility that you should be examining, a project you should be starting, a goal you should be reaching, an opportunity you should be seeing, or a dream that you should be fulfilling. So there's always something to do. The question is what is that next thing? No one can wait until everything's perfect to act and expect to be successful. It's better to be 80% sure and then make things happen than it is wait till you're 100% Sure, because by then the opportunity will have already gone by. We should actually read this as our statement every time we present what we're doing. Initiative eases life's difficulties. It says nothing is so fatiguing as hanging on to an uncompleted task. I also say nothing so, taxing on the brain as trying to make the decision and make sure that everything goes right when you have no idea what's actually what needs to take place. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to get started, but I don't know who I'm going to talk to, I don't know. I said, well, okay, let me tell you what the first week is like. The first week is we're going to make a list of 10 people, and we're going to go talk to those 10 people. Well, then what? What happens if they don't get in? The goal wasn't to get them in. The goal is to present to 10 people. Well, what happens if they do this, or they do that, or they hit, I'm like, well, we're going to overcome that by here's what we're going to do. So the more clarity, watch this, the more clarity somebody has, the more certainty they have, the more likely they'll engage. 5, initiative is often the difference between success and failure. The people who make it are the ones who get started and keep going. The ones who don't make it, they sit home and think about it, and they plan about it, and it's really just fear. They're talking themselves out of it. They're telling themselves a story about why it won't work, etc. It says when it comes to initiative, there are usually only 4 kinds of people. People who do the right thing without being told. That's very, very rare. People who do the right thing when told. Here's what to do and here's how to go do it. People who do the right thing when they're told more than once. I don't know if that sounds like anybody, right? Hola, David Rhodes here from California. It says people who never do the right thing no matter what. And then I would add that there's a 5th person, people who don't know what's going on, period. Like, there's some people who know what's going on and they just decide not to participate. There's other people you can talk to and they don't even know what's going on. Like, no idea. Anyone who wants to become a talent person needs to become the first kind of person, the person who does not need to be told. They're just going to go out and do what they need to do, which is difficult. It's difficult to do because so many of us have this upbringing or have this background where we were told we can't. For those of you who don't know, the average kid by the age of 5 is told no somewhere between 40 to 60,000 times. And they're told yes about 5,000 times. So it's built into the nervous system, built into the subconscious. No, don't go do it. No, can't do it. No, you shouldn't do it. No, and I mean, most of it's good, right? Don't go near the stove. Don't go near the 2nd story ledge. Mm-hmm. Don't climb up the tree, you'll fall down. Things like that. So it says people who lack initiative fail to see the consequences of the inaction. See, people think like by not taking action that they're not failing, and you are failing because you're using up time, and time is the only thing we have. Time is the only thing we have. You will either use it wisely or you will use it unwisely, and it goes by either way. So, I said that to somebody yesterday. I said, man, if I knew about residual income and really understood it when I was 18, I said I would have started stacking it away and building up from 18. By 28, 10 years later, I should have had enough put away where I wouldn't have had to go do all this other stuff so hard. He slept beneath the moon. He basked beneath the sun. He lived a life of going to do it and died with nothing done. So what did he do? He thought about it all the time. It says, don't let this happen to you. People who lack initiative want someone else to motivate them. So this is very common. There are, if you look at the pyramid of motivation, the bottom of the pyramid or the bottom of the triangle would be 27%. 27% of the people are unmotivatable. What does that mean? That means there's nothing you can say and there's nothing that anybody else can say to get these people to move to go do anything. They're not going to do anything. You can call some people until the end of time and they will never show up and they will never come to anything. Even though it's right next door, even though it's across the street, even though you'll pick them up, even though the ticket's free, even though it's in their best interest, even though they tell you they want to go, 27% of the people. So if you have 100 people on your team, 27 of them you're not going to be able to do anything for. You can give them the life preserver, but they will drown, and worse, they will blame you for not saving them. Isn't that fun? You kind of have to have thick skin if you do this. 60% are motivatable people. So 60 out of 100. Motivatable means if you're able to build a relationship of some kind with them, or you're really good at knowing human relations, meaning you know basically personalities and understand personalities and can identify personalities and put things in front of people in a way that is in their best interest, natural to them, friendly and motivated, you can get 60% of the people to do a little bit. At least, show up once in a while. And this is something that I learned because there's 3 things you need to learn how to do in direct sales. Number 1, you have to learn how to prospect. Number 2, you have to learn how to present. And the third one is you have to learn how to promote. Now, promotion is basically the art of getting people into action where they otherwise wouldn't have moved. So promotion, I'm going to promote an event and I'm going to make sure they have a ticket, they're going to get there, they have their seat, and usually successful at getting about 80% of the people who say, yes, I'm coming, come. About 80%. So if 10 say they're coming, 8 will. If 20 say they're coming, you'll probably get 16 in the room, and so on and so forth. The 80-20 rule, right? Pareto principle. So the key is if you want 100 people in the room, how many people do you have to really have? About 120 that say yes. It seems like a lot to manage. It seems like, well, that's a lot of work. It is. That's the reason if you build successfully, you get paid so much money in this industry and the opportunity is so big, is because most people don't want to go through the work. The difference is to make it in a lot of other businesses, you have to have some kind of other unique talent. You have to come up with some idea that nobody's thought of. You have to have an immense amount of money or the ability to raise capital to be able to fund the idea. Or I was listening to the other night, they were talking about raising capital, and you have to present the right idea in front of, bank after bank after bank after bank. And, the guy I was listening to about this was talking about raising somewhere between 5 and 10 million, and then he talked about raising 50 to 100 million, and there was a guy that went in and raised 500 billion. So there's money out there to be had, even during a pandemic, but your idea better be pretty good. Your team better be pretty good. The average person isn't going to be able to pull all that together, but in network marketing direct sales, if you want to get to $50,000 a year, just about anybody can do that. $10,000 a month, just about anybody can do that. And when I say just about anybody, everybody here has the skill. If you had the talent to even make it onto this program, you probably have the skill. Now, do you have the focus? Maybe not yet, but you'd have the ability to succeed doing this. Whereas, no matter how hard I would try, I'm never going to be a professional football player. No matter how hard I try, I'll never be a professional basketball player. It's just not in the cards. Sometimes it's a physical limitation. Other times it's a mental limitation. But inside of direct sales, you just have the ability to pull it off. But if you're waiting for somebody to come around and push you, if you're waiting for somebody to come around and motivate you, it's not going to happen. 60% of the people are 60% of the people are motivatable, but you better have a good relationship and understand human relations. 10% of people are the motivated. They're the ones that John was talking about back there when he's like, if you have something to do, they don't need to be told, they just go do it. 10% are motivated. These people are hard to find. They're usually more difficult to get in. Why? Because they're already doing something. But when they do get in, life becomes so much easier for you and your team because these are the people who know how to do it. Well, out of 100 people, there's only 10 people, roughly, that are motivated, they're already doing stuff. All you have to do is show them what to do to be successful inside of an organization or team. Now, the problem is you have to get to 100 people to find 10 of them, right? That's a lot. So I stopped focusing on finding the right people, and I started focusing on finding more people. if I bring on more people, more of these type of people will show up. That's just the way it works. The faster you bring people on your team, the faster it is to find these people. It's kind of how it works. And then 3% are the motivators. The 3% of the motivators, they're the ones that can bring others into the room onto the team. The 3% are those that can influence, watch this is crazy, they can influence 5 people, roughly. They can influence 5 people to show up. So if you have 3 of them, you have about 15 people showing up. In most direct sales network marketing businesses, when you get about 15 people to show up, spread out the right way, depending on the compensation plan, you're going to start making some really decent money. People think it's like hundreds of people in the room. It's about 15 to 25 people. When you get to 15 to 25 people in the room, I mean, you could make some really, really good money. If you can get 50 people in the room, I can tell you're over halfway there in most cases to make 6 figures. Once 100 people are in the room, and we're talking about at the large events, once about 100 people are in the room, you have about a 99% chance that you're going to cross 6 figures in the next 12 months. Those are just the numbers. I've seen it in multiple companies. You know, I don't care if it's a product company, service company, it's about 100 people in the room. So, people who lack initiative look for perfect time to act. They're always talking about, well, you know, after the holidays. That's what people are going to start saying. You know, it's October. After the holidays. I'm like, the holidays, like, yes, I understand that Thanksgiving's like less than 30 days away or just over 30 days away. I know that Christmas is right around the corner. I know that there's like 91 days left in the year, but people will literally tell you, oh, I'm going to wait till after the holidays because I'm busy and I'm thinking about it. Like, you have to be aware of what people are saying and then look at what they're actually doing. And then you see them the next 10 days sitting online, posting stuff. I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. It's unbelievable. He who deliberates fully before taking a step will spend his entire life on one leg. Meaning, if you just talk and don't do anything, you're kind of in motion to go do something, but you never get anything done. People who lack initiative like tomorrow better than today. Meaning, it's always tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to get that done. Oh, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to wrap that up. Oh, tomorrow. It doesn't happen. So, John goes on to say, to be honest, all of us are plagued by procrastination in some area of our lives. If something is unpleasant, uninterested, or complex, we tend to put it off. So that's part of it. It's like the work that we don't like, we're going to put off. The work that we don't like is what's stopping you from making money. Mm-hmm. That's really what it comes down to. And I don't care, you know, if that's real estate or the holistic health business or MLM. You know, the mundane tasks of, okay, I have to send an email. Okay, I have to advertise again. Okay, I have to take pictures again. Okay, I have to, you know, go out to this builder again. Okay, I have to talk to that person again. Okay, I've got to make these calls. I've got to set up these appointments. It's the mundane tasks that you'll avoid, but that's where the money is. So if you can discipline yourself to get through those type of tasks on a regular basis, that's where the big money comes in. And not just do it once, but do it day after day after day. So how do you get started doing that? Accept responsibility for your life. Greek philosopher Socrates said, to move the world, we must first move ourselves. You have to be doing something. And the first thing is what? You know, David Bird, one of my mentors, taught me this. He goes, the first trick to this is you have to know the half a dozen things. You have to know the right activities to do. The second thing is you have to do them consistently and persistently for a long enough period of time. And you're like, well, how long is a long enough period of time? Until you start getting results, positive results, where you know what it takes to produce that result, and then you can either ramp it up, maintain it, increase it, you know, because there's a couple stages of momentum, right? You can maintain momentum, you can advance momentum, or you can crush momentum, you know, completely stop it. And it's all based on the activities we do. Everyone experiences setbacks. We all face obstacles from time to time. We all feel the deck is stacked against us. So that's just normal. If you feel like, oh my gosh, every time I go to do something, all of a sudden, you know, a storm hits. That's how it works. I've typically found, and I can't remember which book I read this in, they said the closer you get to success, the more the storm comes at you. The more the storm comes at, it tests you. It's like, okay, do you really want this? To move the world, we must first move ourselves, Socrates. Examine your reasons for not initiating. Why are you not doing what you should do? Is it because it's not fun? So there's a particular guy that I work with that, we talked about this several times. And part of the problem is it's either a limiting belief. I don't think it's so much a limiting belief, but it's a bad connection. It's like a bad connection. And what I mean by bad connection is the belief they have is true to a point, but isn't true for everything. And they're using it as a general instead of everything. So there's a statement that says you have to like everything you do, right? If you fall in love, the statement actually is if you fall in love, you never work a day in your life. Which sounds amazing from stage. Oh my gosh, you just need to fall in love with what you do. If you just love this, if you just love this, that is bullshit. It is a lie that's told from stage. So that way it sounds so amazing, but you might love what you do, but to move forward, you're going to have to do some things you don't like. And it's the stuff you don't like that will really make you the money. And you're looking for the scenario where everything is fun and everything is enjoyable and everything fits your personality all the time. That's not how business works. That's how the ice cream truck works, right? When the ice cream truck music comes, you get excited. And then you go to the ice cream truck and you pick out your favorite ice cream and you eat your ice cream and everything's happy until you get on the scale. And then you're like, okay, that was a mistake. My point being, you have to examine your reason for not initiating. So we sat down and we started researching this about why we weren't doing what we shouldn't do. Why are we not doing what we shouldn't do? Well, the reason we're not doing what we shouldn't do, or what we should do, the reason we're not doing what we should do is probably because of some limiting belief or some messed up belief about what's going to happen or why we shouldn't. Most people avoid conflict. Most people avoid pain. Most people avoid the hard work. But it's boring. But they're going to say, I just built a system where I don't get the weird rejection. I built a system where it gives you the most positive feedback instantly. So I don't have the same issues that a lot of people do inside the business, but I also build the business very differently, and I mean direct sales. 3, focus on benefits of completing a task. Focus on the benefits of completing. What happens when I complete the task? What am I going to get? What am I going to receive? What's good going to do? Now, here's the thing. Most of the time, the results of doing the right thing aren't going to show up right away. Most of the time. If you go to the gym today and you're like, man, I've been meaning to get to the gym. I want to go to the gym. If you go to the gym today and you work out today, are you going to get the amazing result today? No. You might feel a little bit better. You might feel a little bit energized because, and if you expel energy, that's what actually creates new energy. A lot of people don't get that. They're like, I'm going to stay home and rest. I'm like, no, you're going to stay home and get fat. You're going to stay home and get tired. You're going to stay home and be broke, basically. And I mean that in both the work sense and, broke like emotionally because you're not moving. Motion creates emotion, and that's what creates energy. So it actually takes the motion. But do you get the result right away? No, you go to the gym and you're like, okay, that was cool, but nothing really happened. And over time, it starts working. That's why tracking is so important. Because if you don't track what you do with workouts, what you do at any job or anything you do, what happens when you don't track, you don't have the ability to look back and say, okay, I'm doing the right thing. So it's almost like most people need to write down what is the right thing to do. And then at the end of the day, did I do the right thing? And how much of the right thing did I do?
And without tracking, sometimes you'll trick yourself into thinking you're doing enough, but really you're not. And other times you might be surprised too, because when you track, if you do decide to actually do the activities that you're supposed to be doing, you'll see sometimes you'll either trick yourself into thinking that you're doing enough and you're not doing enough, or you'll think that you're doing too little, but then you actually did a lot. But you don't know where you're at unless you start tracking.
So, share your goal with a friend who will help you. So sometimes it helps to share stuff with friends. Sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the friend. If it's somebody who's going to encourage you, help you, move you forward, typically that's a good move. If it's somebody who's like, oh, well, that's a lot of work, somebody who kind of poo-poos it, or, gives you all the reasons, all the excuses why you can't do it, that's not necessarily the person you want to be sharing what you're doing with. 5, break large tasks down into smaller ones. Divide it by categories. Prioritize it by importance. Order it by sequence. Assign it by abilities. Accomplish it by teamwork. So it depends on the task that you need to do. For most people in our industry, in the direct sales network marketing industry, if you want to build a team so you don't have to do all the work the rest of your life, some people like being the person, and most of the time people who are like, oh, I don't want to build a team, it's because you like being the go-to person. The problem with being the go-to person always is you will eventually run out of time, you will eventually run out of steam, and then you're going to get completely screwed because one day you're going to be sick or tired or have to go take care of something and you can't be there. So it is the person who does too much that basically burns out. By building a team, by finding people who can help you out, it really helps. So what is the activity you need to do? It says divide it into categories. So there's categories. There's finding people to talk to, then there's talking to them, then there's presenting to them, and then there's the third party information that you need to get them. And then eventually, if it's one of the things you do, you would follow through with that person. So by dividing those tasks down into, okay, what contact, what am I doing? And I kind of mentioned this to somebody the other day. I was like, well, part of the problem is you're fragmented. And what I mean by fragmented is you don't have a clear path from the start to the finish. You don't have a clear path from, I'm going to contact this person, I'm going to set a time, I'm going to present to them, I'm then going to send them this information, then I'm going to follow up with them to see if they want to come to the event. If they get through that process and they get to the event and they're not ready, then get them to the next event, the next event, the next event, give them the next information, because it's event, information, event, information, event, information. That's how I do it. I don't put them on the phone with somebody else to close them. If the event and the information doesn't close them, then they're probably not the right person. Then what you're doing is usually signing up a cancellation. And what I mean by signing up a cancellation, you're going to sign up somebody because you got somebody who's a closer on the phone and they didn't join for really their own reason. They joined because they were closed and now they're going to quit. Rather than you'll have a much stronger organization of people if the information closes them versus you or another person. So, it takes a whole lot less time. So that's I don't do 3-way calls, by the way. Allocation. Allocate specific times to tasks you might procrastinate. Allocate specific times. So contacting, inviting, doing phone calls, presenting is something that most people do what? Most people avoid. I try to go do that first. I'm like, okay, 3 presentations today, 3 presentations today, 3 presentations today, and I go knock out the first one and the second one and the third one. And that's my goal every single day, 3 presentations a day. Personally, I'm trying to produce 3 presentations a day. I have one at 12 o'clock, so I got to get moving. Okay, the greatest time wasted is the time getting started. So like before you do anything, that's usually when you're going to waste the most time. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to organize. I'm going to write down. I'm going to paint out a picture. I'm going to call 3 people and tell them about it. And pretty soon the day's over and you haven't done it. 7, remember preparation includes doing what you need to do, taking step forwards. It says water does not flow until the faucet is actually turned on, just like you have to turn on what you need to do. So spend time creating a list of all the reasons why you do not display greater initiative. Why are you not displaying greater initiative? So the second list comes from the remaining reasons on your original list, which are the facts of life. Anything you have to do, anything you have no control over and you cannot change, such as the actions of others, your age, the economy, is to go on this list. These are things you simply must accept. So there's things you can change, but there's also stuff you must accept. Like, this is the way it is. We talk about technology a lot. You know, people are like, yeah, but I like to make phone calls versus text messages versus Facebook. Tough. It doesn't matter what you like. That's not where people are initiating anymore. You know, and you are wasting your time and you're working 10 times harder for less results. It's not about what you like. It's not about what you're comfortable with. It's about where things are at. Never never fall in love with, the way you market, because it's going to change. 2, what causes procrastination? We kind of went over that. 3, think about something you have a strong desire to do but are currently afraid of, and then figure out why you're not doing it. 4, what are you currently neglecting that is preventing your talent from being achieved, or your dream or your goal from being achieved? Like, what are you avoiding doing? All of us avoid different things. So that's what we have for today. That was chapter 3. Chapter 4 is focus directs your talent. So we're going to talk about focus on Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. Good to see everybody. And if you want more info, where are they going?
So you guys can follow us on the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group. We're going to post this here every day. Also go follow us on YouTube, because we're going to download this and upload it there. And that way you guys can follow along. If you want to go back through a few books that we've already gone through, you could go through them all at once. They are on a playlist, so if you want to listen to them, if you're in the car and want something else to listen to when you're sitting in the car, got a long trip, you can listen to us. So with that, that's basically what we have today, and we will see you guys on Monday.